Everybody, this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. Today's Wednesday, March 20th, 2024. It's 5:30, and we're going to stand and say the pledge. If you'll join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Randy.
Okay, trustee Winslow,
Present.
trustee Marks,
Present.
trustee Ketta,
Here.
trustee Everson,
Here.
treasurer Johnson,
Here.
clerk Rattari is here, and supervisor Duran.
Here.
Staff present is manager Kangas, our attorney Roger Zappa, fire chief Dan Shanahan is here, Jason McCarthy, our planner zoning administrator, is on Zoom. In committee members here, we have Tom Bronken from the library.
Thanks, Randy. Anyone you want to visit before we get started? Any comments? Okay, thank you. Well, we need approval of tonight's consent agenda, which consists of approval of regular meeting and work session minutes of March 6th, 2024. Bills payable in the amount of $436,096.78. The Sheriff's Department activity report from February of 2024. The second annual safety forum is a week from tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here. We're going to talk about CPR if you need to and everything that goes with that, AEDs. We're going to talk about preventing or putting out a fire. The fire department will be here. The sheriff's department will be here, so you need to know what they're doing in your neighborhood. And Upset's going to have a presentation for us, unfortunately, about the drugs in the neighborhood. But it's all good stuff. 6 o'clock, we'll have some coffee and donuts for you to share. It was a rounding success last year, so come and join us for an hour. Appreciate it.
Move to adopt the consent agenda.
Support.
Okay. This also includes the February 2024 financials.
No, that will be next that'll be next because when I was the accounting, I put double, the same thing double in there, so it should be on the next one.
Okay, so I'll cross that out.
Yeah.
So it'll be the consent amended. And then we've got Board of Trustees, the Peter White Public Library regular board meeting minutes of Tuesday, February 20th, 2024.
So I'll support John's motion of approving the consent agenda as amended.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Move to adopt the agenda. Approval of the agenda.
I'll support as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks. Okay, let's start with Tom Bronken from the library.
Good evening. I went to the Board of Trustees meeting at the library last night, and there was really only one item of significance, and that's what they discussed the responses to their RFP for replacing the lower steps on the east side of the building. They had 3 responses, which were dollar-wise all across the board. The one that they were really hoping they would be able to do was national restoration, but they came in at $297,000. So and the others were much lower. Northern Restorations was $187,500, and Ram Construction came in at $148,679. They didn't see much difference, to tell you the truth, between all 3 of those. It was pretty clear that Northern, the first one, the national, the one that they were hoping to get, wasn't really interested, so they put a high number in. But the other 2 were both competitive, and Ram said they could get it done by July 4th, if everything goes well. And I gave Ernie the specs for the limestone that they're hoping to get, so it's all from Indiana. All 3 of them had pretty similar limestone, so I think they'll do well with that. So they voted on that last night, so that I think as soon as they get the contract behind, it'll happen. And that's really about all that happened last night.
Any questions for Tom? Okay, well, thanks for making the trip, just for one item. Appreciate
you.
it.
Yep.
Okay, Fire Department. Chief Shanahan, please.
Good, I don't have too many items myself either, so, and there is the Pigs and Heat game tonight. Reminder, if anybody gets a chance to go, or has already purchased tickets. But briefly, February, you have my written report. One thing I didn't say, we will be testing out a different type of extrication tools on Saturday, April 6th. We're gonna be trying out some Genesis tools. We've had Hearst tools, extrication tools, for the past 25, 30 years. And just with the batteries being compatible with other things, we're at least gonna give them a demo. I did make an error, if you noticed, of call volume year-to-date this year and last year. I put 34 for 2023. It should have been 77. I did not get that changed over, so our call volume's up 20-some% so far this year. Membership's holding steady, fairly steady. We did install quite a few smoke detectors again in residents' homes. I think that'll start winding down now. There was a big push there for a while, which was good, and we're more than happy to install them. We hope we keep doing it, but we'll see. Grants, AFG was applied for. We're going for fire hose this year, approximately $70,000+ just strictly for fire hose. We applied for that the last 2 years. We're hoping that brings us up in the chart a little bit.
What's the cost for that, Dan? How expensive?
Fire hose?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ranges on the sizes. It can go from, actually, our larger diameter is almost $10 a foot.
Wow.
Yep. And we keep on a particular, one of our trucks, we'll have 400 feet of the large stuff, and we'll have 800 feet of the 2.5-inch diameter hose. So it's quite expensive, and we have quite a bit of hose that was purchased in the 80s, and it's done as well. We don't use it that much, but it does fail just due to time. They'll rot out from the inside.
So how much will the grant be then? You've got to apply for both sizes?
Yes, we combined it all into one, and to keep it in the micro grant, under 75, we went 73,000, I believe, was the total. And like I said, since we did apply for that the last two cycles, we're hoping this time, because it does bring you up each time you apply for the exact same thing. So we're hoping this year we do get it. And we have been purchasing a little bit here and there, because about 3-4 years ago, we had pretty high failure rate. Failure rate is usually in the department is 2 to 3%. And that, let's just say 3 years ago, maybe 4, we failed at like 13%. So, and we did have a lot of extra stock at that time, but it's all old. So it is starting to fail. And we do need to get some. New fire truck, we're hoping in May. It sounds pretty, he did give me a call the other day. And I don't even want to repeat, but in May, I'll just leave it at that. And we will need to send probably 4 guys down, hopefully 4 guys down to Appleton, the Pierce plant, for inspection and training. And that is all that I have, unless anybody has any questions on anything.
Any word on the ambulance?
Next year, 2025.
Wow.
The chassis has been in for approximately 5 months now. Just can't get anybody to build it. That was the big holdup originally. Nobody could get chassis. Now the chassis are there, but there's such a backlog and not enough workers that, I don't know. Yeah, we did have a decent, or not a large, but just to keep you, that's why I put that in there in the report, the ambulance. We needed brakes and some wheel bearings, which get expensive on that type of vehicle. It's not $1,000 item, it's a couple $1,000 item.
Thank you.
I have one question. So what happens to the fire hose when we no longer need it? Is there a way to recycle it some way? Can we use it for activities for our young people at the parks?
We could. We're always looking for options. We try selling it to like farmers and construction.
I'm wondering what other people do with that. when,
That's what they do
when
too.
it goes.
They cut it up, or they get rid of it.
Or they
And
use
usually
it.
farmers or your road construction guys, they like it.
Better to give it away to someone to use it than to put it in the landfill would be my opinion.
Oh, definitely, and we do, if you wanna come over and look at our hose tower, we have a lot of hose that nobody wants and we have no use for. We can't use. I know some guys, they make flags out of them, but they only want the smaller size, and we have a lot of the larger size hose.
If somebody has a
That's fair.
dock, they can wrap it around their dock for a bumper.
Yes, yep.
in case
Maybe,
there's some-
yeah, maybe just letting people, maybe just letting the residents know that
And
we're
that's
we're gonna,
something-
it's gonna be excess and we're going to do
I'll need
something
to
with
get with the
it.
manager on, and I know we
Yeah,
talked about
good
it maybe
idea.
2 years ago. How to just, I think we
It
briefly
needs to be
talked about it
declared
a couple years
surplus,
ago.
and then if it has any kind of value, you need to,
Right. So I'm leaving,
out
I'll
for
work
bids.
through the manager on that.
and if you get no bids, then you can dispose of it.
Right. But it is, everybody has it and nobody wants it, or very few people want it.
Well, we'll ask Community Day
We
people.
can, yeah, I don't know.
If they have
if we
any
can
ideas.
Put it on the Facebook page or website.
Thanks, Dan.
While you're here, we were talking in the office that we'd like to have the township board meet with some of the fire department in the next few weeks
Great.
and have a work session and talk about equipment, millage, staffing, whatever issues we
Great.
have. So that would mean they'd like to do it a little bit after 5, sometime after some of their staff gets finished with
Closer to
their regular
5:30 or
job.
so, if we
Yeah,
can, just
after
because
5.
after 5, yeah, just,
5:30.
yeah, I mean, because even 5:30, we have one or two that push it to get there.
Yeah,
So,
maybe
I mean,
6.
we can, yeah, 6 would probably be better. We
So
could
you're
make sure
looking at
there's-
Tuesday the 2nd or Thursday the 4th. So if you guys have your calendars, if you can check those dates while Dan's here. Tuesday the 2nd of April or Thursday the 4th.
Thursday's better for me, but
How's Thursday for you, everybody else?
If it's 6:30,
Pardon?
What time?
6 is, or I have,
Go ahead, yeah. We can be, I think, pretty flexible,
The 4th of April.
I'm pretty sure.
At 6:30?
Some people are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there were only gonna be a couple, and then I'll put it out to everybody, of course, but,
Tell me what time.
6:30.
6:30?
That works for everybody.
18, okay,
All right, 6:30,
on April 4.
April 4th.
so I'll move to schedule a work session with the fire department then.
Support.
On April 4th at 6:30 here in the boardroom here.
Support?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So Thursday, April 4th, 6:30. Excellent. Well, I might as well do that while you're here.
Yeah, no,
you
good.
go.
Yep, very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, go Heat.
Go Heat.
Okay, Public Works. Do we have Lenny?
No.
No, he's on vacation, isn't
He
he?
submitted a written report to the board that everyone should have got an email, and he's on his way south somewhere.
Good for him.
He did have a clause in there asking if there was any questions, and I did send him a question regarding the Lions Field sprinkler irrigation system, and he responded that they were just about ready to start working on it. Said it'd take a couple days. However, now the ground's frozen again, so as soon as we get some good, decent weather, he said he'll have it scheduled to be put in.
Okay, perfect. Planning. John? Nope, there he is. Hi, Jace.
Good evening.
Thank you
The
for joining
Planning
us.
Commission met on Wednesday the 13th and recommended approval of a map adjustment to, a zoning map amendment to a parcel at 420 Brickyard Road that is owned by Penn Inc., and that's on the northwest corner of the intersection of the Commercial Drive heading into Meyer and Brickyard Road. So we'll complete the draft meeting minutes for that and send it off to the county and to legal review. And once that all comes back with county's comments from their planning commission, we'll forward that on to the board for their consideration. So that was changed or proposed to be amended from rural residential to development district, and it kind of provides a buffer between the general business zoning district and the rural residential zoning that's there. And it was supported by the future land use map in the master plan. That was one change that was made from the 2017 application for the same process. That was changed after that, so that it was supported by the future land use map this time around. As I understand, the planning commission also continued to discuss short-term rentals. That kind of ties into the next topic, which is I've completed a draft request for proposals to get our master plan updated by a professional consulting firm, given that we've received a grant from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So that I like to get out by the end of the week and distribute that, and proposing to have comments or proposals back, on April 12th. I was going to do it on April 5th, but that's only 2 weeks. I think 3 weeks would be a more appropriate time frame for firms to, or individuals to respond to that. And then I've asked the committees to take a look at, and the two committees I'm speaking about would be the Rec Committee and the Road Committee, to review pertinent sections of the existing master plan to provide some input and ideas on how to update that with respect to their, respective committees. Eric, Planner Powers, has been working on, I think we have 2 or 3 new homes proposed already this year, which is great to hear. And he's also been continuing to follow up on business licenses, which I know is a chore, so I won't say any more about that. But yeah, really excited to get the master plan kind of kickoff going. I anticipate if we get a favorable response and are able to determine and hire a firm, that we'll get going in the first part of May. So that's the majority of what's been on my plate lately. I'm happy to answer any questions, but wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet tonight.
Anything, Ernie?
I have just one. Has discussion taken place on short-term rentals of putting a number or a limit within the township on short-term rentals? Is it even possible?
Yeah, it absolutely is possible, Trustee Treasurer Johnson. Excuse me, I got a call there. We haven't determined whether or not to do that yet. The Planning Commission's been considering a presentation that Planner Powers and I reviewed and witnessed down at the Michigan Association of Planning Conference last fall. So there's a number of ways to either limit them or have some proximity to them. And so the Planning Commission's been considering a number of provisions to add to the ordinance. I don't know if Trustee Winslow wants to add anything to that based on the fact that she was at the last Planning Commission meeting. But as far as I knew, I think they were still under just general discussion.
Lots of discussion about short-term rentals and what the state's going to step in and do or not do, how close people want them next to them kind of concept. Trowbridge Park is, and then we do have a map, and I'm sure Jason will be happy to share that with everyone, showing where the short-term rentals today are located in the township.
I've seen the map. I just listening or reading a lot of stuff. There are some municipalities started looking at limiting the number within their boundaries.
Yeah, many are.
That's the question.
But the state's looking at something else.
I know the state is.
Yeah, we'll continue to keep you posted. Obviously, any zoning text amendments will be run through the board. You're the only one that has the ability to amend the ordinance, so when that time comes, we'll make sure that we provide lots of background on why the decisions that were made by the Planning Commission were made.
Any other questions? questions for Jason? Okay, thanks for joining us.
Yes, good night.
Yep. Attorney report, Mr. Zappa.
Okay, well, it's been an extremely busy month on my desk. And these, some of the things that we worked on this month, in no particular order, we just settled the Coles Tax Tribunal appeal as of yesterday. Ongoing questions about updating and revising the fire department personnel policy, because there were some questions and it's been a number of years since that's been done. The Heritage Silos PUD has progressed to the point where the township has accepted the bills of sale for the water main system and the sewer main system that were installed by the developer. The plan was that those were being held in escrow. We were waiting for certain items on the punch list to be completed, and those have all been completed with the exception of a couple of cosmetic items that will be taken care of as soon as weather permits. So we are now the owners of the systems, of both systems. They're functional and complete and ready to operate. Last Thursday or Friday, out of the blue, I received a stormwater management plan and a group of easements from the Fish and Wildlife Building that were sent out 3 years ago. And I don't typically see those. They were sent to me apparently in error. Once I draft them, they're usually taken care of internally. But in any event, they were received. I'm not sure where they've been all this while. They were recorded, and I've just delivered the recorded copies that are now at the Register of Deeds as of tonight. I reviewed the Fishbeck contract that was on your agenda last week, and we made a couple of minor little changes to that. There was one in there requiring the township to pay any taxes that are included in the invoice, and of course the township is a tax exempt entity, so that had to come out. And there were some indemnity provisions that also the township cannot agree to, and those were modified to the point that I'm satisfied that they're now enforceable as is. I reviewed the solid waste agreement that was on your agenda, I think, at the last meeting. And we've, of course, had some ongoing work and development of the ZBA appeal to Circuit Court. That's also ongoing. And I might be overlooking a thing or two, but those are the ones that come to mind at least.
Questions for Roger?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, community linkage. You want to talk about that now, Attorney?
I can.
Yeah.
I attended the Business Association meeting this week. It was not a quorum there, so they didn't talk about a lot, but we talked about our car show and the tree lighting in the past that we've supported. Well, Media Brew, who took it over, now they have their form out there, $1,500 if you want to become a full sponsor. And that's just they can go out and get other sponsors too. But it's quite a bit in that. So I'm not going any further. You want to look at this, I'll send it back to you, send it around to you. But there was a lot of discussion on that. And I'll be honest with you, I can't say too much because I'm just there as a representative of the township and that. And financially, they just don't have dollars to spend like that. So,
The Business Association.
the Business Association. They have donated to them, which they did in the past, and which they do to the township too at the same time. But I just found it very interesting that this is coming out now and that. So if anyone wants to look at it, I have it here.
Yeah, I do.
I'll give it down to you. But no, it's just more information in that too. It's just, we've all had our own opinions on it, so. But I felt it was interesting to bring it to let everybody know and that too, so. That's it.
Did it say what they're gonna be charging per car for?
Nothing, no, this is just the sponsor for the
Just a
show.
sponsorship, okay.
They haven't charged anything,
Sorry?
except they've not charged anything for the car show for the cars, other than a donation of food items that are then given to a local food pantry.
Maybe that'll be changing too, who knows?
I'm just relating what's happened this week, that's it, so.
They're working on it,
You
so.
did a great job.
Keep my mouth shut. Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I'll just comment, just so the residents know, the township is only doing Community Day now. Media Brew's taking over the car show and the tree lighting, so we made that decision at budget time, so. So yeah, we really don't have much to do with those two events, other than our Community Day, which is ours.
I brought that just for information
Yeah.
for the board, and that's it.
But some residents might not know, if they hadn't caught up, if they haven't watched the meetings, they might not know that, so.
John?
I just want to be fair to Media Brew and point out that the township had been funding those two events last year to the tune of $7,500 between the two combined. So if that funding goes away for them, they got to make it up somewhere else, and that's what their sponsorship plan is, I guess. I'm assuming they haven't communicated with me, but just adding up the dollars that it takes for them to put these events on, they've got to make up the shortfall that the township is no longer paying. So, to be fair to them, I'm sure they can put on a good event if they can get the funding to run it.
Yep, so $750 for each one, roughly. Give us $1,500 for both. I'm sure they want you to sponsor both, if
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
looking for a sponsor.
Just wasn't clear, this came out of the brew at the meeting and that, so I figured to bring it to
Yeah.
our meeting, so we knew what was going on.
Job well done.
I don't know about that,
Earn your lunch. I just want to let you know about the Marquette County Township Association Spring Banquet. If you want to put that on your calendar, it's going to be Friday, May 10th at 5:30 at the Negaunee Township Hall. And it's going to be, they're expecting one of Joe's prime rib dinners. And Hanula will take care of the refreshments. Of course, there'll be other stuff. And the MTA president and director will attend. So they're coming up from downstate. And then I just wanted to talk briefly about solid waste. That meeting was at 4 o'clock. They hope to have some audio quotes or some proposal at the next meeting. So that'll be April 17th, right before 2 meetings of ours. So hopefully I couldn't really hear the attorney too well, but a few things you might want to know about. They are going to send out tomorrow morning a new tipping fee schedule, if you didn't expect that already. And I was able to write just a couple of the numbers down. They expect to go to $75 a ton the 1st of July. And by next July, it'll be up to $93. There may be a $83 interim, like maybe December or something, but they're gonna send it out to us tomorrow. So if it just comes to me, I don't think it does. I think it goes to everybody, but I can forward it out too as soon as I get it, if that's the case. And along that same line, they were trying to figure out, or they've been talking about, how to fund the recycling side of the landfill separately. There are 2 counties, Delta and Chippewa, who support recycling with a separate funding method. Some of them use millage. Some have different fees, kind of like Chocolate does. They have, some communities have bags, like the city did, and then there's different ways. But the idea is to keep the recycling separate, the funding part of it, and that's what they're kind of talking about. Where would that money come from? Would it just be a millage? So they're still trying to get, they had a meeting with QPAD on Friday, the director and the chairman, as far as I know, just those 2, to talk about that cooperative 6 county in the middle group where all of them would bring their recycling here. And I don't know what that would involve as far as fees and stuff. But they're still trying to consider that. They're also thinking then if they do split off the recycling, they're gonna need, I couldn't quite hear the attorney if he meant separate articles or separate authority for the recycling. So I'm not sure exactly. We'll see.
So do we, and maybe this is a question Lenny will have to find out, how much tonnage do we send to the landfill in a week, a month, something like that? Because the only way we're gonna reduce the increase is to decrease the tonnage. Does that make sense? And it's interesting because right here in the township focus, it says township's role in materials management. I sort of feel like trash is the materials that we need to manage better. I think I talked about that last week. And maybe just saying to our residents, empty those water bottles before you throw them in the trash. Because that all counts. So I'm interested to see how this is gonna really affect our landfill tonnage.
Well, and if they have a certain amount that they need to recoup for the trash side of it, if they have more going into recycling, they're still gonna end up having to raise their rates on the trash side because they have expenses, the employees. They did just hire 2 new full-timers. I think it was on the recycling side. So, there's another, 160,000.
Are they replacements or new positions?
They were temporary that they hired, so they didn't say.
So they have to justify a need for hiring more people, right?
Well,
Right, we all have to do that, right?
2 probationary employees are now full-time. Recycling, it is recycling. Then, just a couple more things. Michigan Tech took a bundle of plastics, speaking of plastics, that they're gonna test for whatever they can use them for. I know that they've been taking some of the crushed glass and using it on, instead of sand, instead of stamped sand. Say that 3 times. So that's, Randy gave them just a big bundle of plastic, didn't charge them or anything, it said, here, tell me what you can use it for. So they were Tech was excited about that. I think that's it. They're gonna start union negotiations. So we'll get that scheduled tomorrow. That's all from them. Anything else from the public that you're hearing from? Okay, let's go on to consider a letter of support for Marquette Alternative High School Solar Project. You'll see we got, this is the one for funding. Yeah, I didn't bring a copy with me. I kind of took last year's letter and changed it up a little bit because this is a second letter. The first one was very specific about it being the first one. So the Marquette Alternative High School is looking at continuing to get funding for their $65,000 solar array project. They have $14,000 so far. They're applying for another 2% fund grant from the Sioux tribe in Chippewa County, and they're asking for our letter of support. The draft is in there.
I move that the supervisor can send this letter of support.
Support?
Questions, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
In the letter, it says this, Brian Prill was supposed to be is going to be at a township meeting.
Yeah, this is last year's letter.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't look.
Yeah, I didn't do anything
Okay.
yet, because I wanted to make sure that it was gonna
Okay,
be.
that's fine. That answers my
It's gonna
question.
be based on the same letter. If you
Okay.
remember, he did come in and explain.
Yes, he did.
Explain the project.
I thought he was going to
He
be here.
can come back if you, absolutely, he
You
said.
can use your discretion, I think.
It'll be pretty much the same letter.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And we need another letter of support, if you'd consider that, to the Marquette County Road Commission for category F funding. John, you wrote the letter.
I don't think the letter's in the packet, though.
Oh, maybe not. I had one similar.
I
Yeah,
drafted a letter.
here it is.
uh,
Want me to read it real quick?
If you'd like, sure.
It's addressed to Peter Dukes, Managing Director of the Marquette County Road Commission, for support, grant support for County Road 505, Commerce Drive. Marquette Charter Township annually collects over $400,000 in local road taxes from its constituents. That annual revenue is also matched by the Township General Fund, with almost 50% more funding for a total annual local road budget of $600,000 plus or minus. If this annual funding, almost 500,000 pays down the annual debt payment for prior local road projects the township has already completed. While our township residents have recognized the benefit of our local road paving and maintenance projects, our primary business district has not. Specifically, the township's primary business park, Cornerstone, is served only by county primary roads, which our taxpayers cannot afford to support. Commerce Drive, County Road 505, has been a critical roadway for professional office space development for some time, but has quite rapidly shown significant signs of deterioration with recent mild winters. The township previously supported a budgetary appropriation request for funding to repair Commerce Drive, but we all know that request was ultimately unsuccessful. We also know that Commerce Drive has recently been incorporated into the primary trucking route between Tilden Mine and the Presque Isle Port Facility. With large gravel trains, quote unquote, traversing this route regularly, the road is truly in desperate need of attention. In addition, our fire department receives its primary ingress and egress for all township fire, rescue, and EMS calls via Commerce Drive. All other primary township services are received through Township Hall, which is also accessed via Commerce Drive. It is our understanding that Marquette County Road Commission intends to seek Category F funding to support the necessary improvements to Commerce Drive. Considering the physical, strategic, and operational importance of this thoroughfare, the Marquette Charter Township Board wholeheartedly, resoundingly, and unanimously supports this request.
I'll make a
So we're
motion.
assuming it's unanimous.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to support the road commission and the funding opportunities that may exist for Commerce Drive and authorize the township supervisor to send a letter of support.
Support.
Okay, questions? Comments?
Only comment is it's falling apart and it needs to be fixed.
Anything to get something going on it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Great letter, John. Consider right-of-way of first priority, portions of abandoned right-of-way. That's you too, John.
This is portions of right-of-way that the road commission acted on last year, I believe, to abandon in Forestville, once they cleaned up the rights-of-way that they actually needed. And the law actually allows us to have the right of first priority, meaning when they abandon it, we can claim it. That being said, if we claim it, then those adjoining property owners can't. And then we have access through an existing roadway along the edges of their properties from now until whenever for an undetermined reason. We have no utilities there, which would be the primary reason. My recommendation is to not exercise the right of first priority for those abandonments and let the property owners receive their half of the right-of-way that their property is adjoining.
If that were ours, could we sell that right of way to the homeowner?
I don't recommend that whatsoever.
And my guess is that this is not something we would want to turn into trails.
No.
It's kind of a dark thing to get into.
Part of it goes.
If we claim
Right
it,
up.
we're taking property away from those
Yeah.
Yeah.
adjoining property owners.
They are already thinking.
We do the same thing in Trowbridge. If we abandon a right-of-way that is never going to be developed, half of it goes to the property owner on each side.
And then they pay taxes on it.
Correct.
I just have a question, looking at that, the direction you're going is fine, but I'm looking way out into the future, and looking at where that property is, or where that projected road is, and looking at the property all around that. I'm looking way out now. You start talking about development in that area. There's gonna have to be some kind of, road back in that area, somehow or other.
That's the yellow line. It's already
I
there.
don't have a yellow line, I
Yeah,
just have
it's
a
got black and white.
black and white.
We don't have a,
I had a yellow.
you don't have it right, Randy. Can't show it up. Oh, it's on our it's on your computers.
That's the disadvantage
Is there one then?
of, that's the disadvantage of a black and white packet.
Yes, so you can look at it.
Well, yeah, but it is on your,
I had
on the
it.
computer.
We all had it.
Yeah, on the computer, but if you got a packet, you didn't. It came out black and white.
So that's my only question, is looking way out into the future.
The road
this
that
is-
was abandoned becomes a private driveway.
It's right through these people's property. And it
Okay.
was just kind of a, I would say logging road, but not, just a trail.
It's a
It just
two-track.
kind of ended up getting bigger and bigger, and it's kind of cutting right through. This came through planning, and the folks were here in the audience. You could actually listen to the conversation on TV.
That's all my concern, looking way out into the future, way out in that.
I move to accept the proposal to not exercise our right to that property.
I support that.
Okay. Anything else for John?
Just my
That would
comment,
be my only concern.
just my comment is I've dealt with some in Trowbridge Park, yeah, they just split the property, and we don't want to get really too much involved with it unless in the master plan, it would look like we needed that somewhere down the line, but this property will not be needed.
Who has the ownership of that property now?
Well, it was Marquette County Road Commission right-of-way that they already acted on to abandon, but before they give it to the adjoining property owners, we have the right to accept it first.
We don't want it.
My recommendation is to not accept that right.
So someone's gonna have to go through it and get the titles all taken care of now when they pick up this additional land.
The landowner is responsible for that, and they probably have the option to not take it if they don't want it.
Yeah, the county maybe
Okay.
wants it.
That's all, as long as it doesn't come back to us on that.
I would like that colored copy map back too. That's
Oh,
part of
that was yours?
the
Okay.
original packet that we received from Pam at the Road Commission. I'd like to keep that for the file. Thank you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So did the Recreation Committee meet?
We did. I've got some notes here someplace. We talked about expanding, some bike trails onto some private land. They didn't get into any real specifics about the private land at this time, but they were just talking about expanding these trails. We talked about upgrading the pickleball and tennis court and the resurfacing of that. Talked about possible future dog park someday, so people could walk their dogs. We talked about putting a bike path along the Forestville Road, if that road is ever upgraded, if that goes through. They'd like to see a bike path because a lot of people are going to be using that to commute back and forth with their bikes and all the bikers that live along there. And then they talked about some possible language, and they're going to get a hold of you, Randy, about putting some language on the November ballot as far as maybe doing a recreational millage. I said the best person I think to talk to would be you on that.
Well,
first they need to go to the planning commission and from the, because you're a sub of the planning commission. And then from the planning commission, it'll come to the board.
Well, they wanted to get some language, maybe, I said maybe you would help them with the language to bring to the planning commission, or planning department.
Yeah, well, when it gets there, we'll work with it.
You don't necessarily have to have the language unless they're making a recommendation, maybe a certain amount of money. Or a
Well,
certain
mills,
amount.
a point mill, and they wondered what, 0.2 mils, 0.3 mils, what it all generated,
That's an assessing question.
yeah.
What is it, 1 mil, John, is 50,000?
That was for the DDA.
That's
Oh,
for the
just
DDA
that.
only.
Okay.
Overall, it's over 200,000, 1 mil.
Oh, yeah, because that's what the
It's over
library.
200,000.
260,000 for a mill.
But there's a
Can't use that,
time.
but That's close that down.
You have
You have a time, you
Yeah,
have
you
a
have-
time frame here.
Yeah, till July.
Right, I said you gotta get moving on it real quick.
Well, you need to go to, someone from your, well, you got a staff person there, need to go to the planning commission and they'll talk about it there. And then they'll discuss it and then the recommendation would come here then. Then we would work on the language depending on what the recommendation was.
Okay.
So to Jason or to the planning commissioner chairperson?
Probably both.
Shutter's gonna be the one that's gonna be contacting you then,
Joe,
Joe.
so you can tell me then.
I'll direct them to Jason and then,
Jason wasn't there.
yeah. But I'll direct him, they can talk.
Okay. That was pretty much it.
Okay. Thanks. Any public comment? Any questions? Okay. How about announcements? Any
Recreation.
announcements? You must have something, Randy.
The only announcement I have is, we're gonna have a county clerks meeting here tomorrow and talk about the early voting, anything we can do in regards to that, and that's about it.
No throwing things or yelling or screaming, okay?
No, we won't be doing that.
You'll be all worn out.
You did,
Nope.
brought it to the board.
Tell him to be quiet.
Managers report.
First things first, I am heading out of town tomorrow. I'll be coming back sometime next week. I've requested the entire week off, not knowing when I will get back. Just heading to Tennessee, getting my son to his campus visit down there and hopefully taking in some sights and seeing some of their trails, that kind of thing. Regarding the pathway on Forestville Road, I think we all agree that that would be really nice to have, but we've also determined that it would be very difficult to permit because it would impact more than 300 feet of a regulated stream, which triggers an EPA review. So if it was possible, we would have tried, and I think Longyear would have been willing to fund it. But it's a permitting issue, the same reason why the road commission doesn't think a roundabout, part of the reason a roundabout wouldn't work at the intersection down here. It's a regulated stream, and if you touch more than 300 feet of it, it runs right down the side of the road where the path would have to go. And you can't just put it on the other side of the road because it crosses back over to that side at some point and then crosses back again. So it's on both sides of the road, and you will impact too many lineal feet of that stream to not, it will trigger an EPA review, and that's probably gonna kill the project. I'm not saying we don't want it.
No,
There's
but
just, it's gonna have to come out a different place.
I don't know how you're gonna get it with .2 mils.
John, we didn't set any dollar amount. I'm trying
Yeah.
to.
Yes,
I think it's a great idea, and I think
That's what
that.
it is an
the-
idea.
Yep, and the recreation committee is, got some people interested, and you know what? Sometimes people just get ideas and it works. So let's
Sometimes
let
it
them
doesn't.
move forward, right?
Keep thinking.
You might be able to build like a suspended or some sort of boardwalk over the top of the stream, but
Yeah.
Yes.
7.2 mils.
We built a
Oh,
tunnel.
you can put that number in his head.
Yeah. Jesus.
Sorry, that was a tongue-in-cheek comment.
There we go, John, I'll correct that, 7.2
It was 7 point.
$1.4 million.
That's probably not enough.
It,
Well,
you know, I
Everyone
just
tells us
cringe a little bit because we've been trying to get Forestville fixed for about 12 years now. You know,
You have the money earmarked to do it,
well, we had it,
to
but
resurface it. It's still set aside.
we had it, but for a while they wanted to spend it on cutting tree limbs, you know. That same money.
Who said that?
No, I think I had a different plan for it than tree limbs, but it was somehow connected to Forestville Road. It just wouldn't have resurfaced the road.
Yeah,
to
okay.
Huron Woods.
That's always been set aside. I mean, we did that a year ago.
I will not forget that number because I'm hoping Longyear is going to resurface that part of the road. And then we can reallocate it to something even more important. I'm not saying that part's not important, but there are other issues that are just as or more important, including the safety of the intersection.
Or we had in reserve, if they were to do something when they tear up Forestville Road, that we would add that money to have them do it the way we wanted. Remember?
Yeah, that's a possibility too, but I would suggest that they have to put it back the way the road commission wants, and that would be the way I'd want it.
Yeah.
So, I'm still holding out hope that they are going to have to do that and we won't, and it'll free up that 150 to do the next important thing.
Any other questions?
That's all I really had for my report though.
How about the AEDs in the building?
Okay, so there are AEDs now in all occupied township facilities because the fire department has them with each ambulance. Public Works has one now. And now we have two in this building. One is right outside the door here, and the other one is in the community room. We were able to pick those up at a pretty good price, and all of township staff was trained on how to use it too. So, hoping we never have to.
They're quite easy to use.
are they locked? Are they
They
locked?
can't be locked.
They're
Oh,
in
they
locked
can be
cabinets.
locked.
They're in locked cabinets. But if you open it without the key, an alarm will go off. Meaning somebody can't just walk away with it without us knowing it happened, hopefully. I mean, it's an alarm in the building, it doesn't necessarily go to the
Okay.
sheriff's department or something like that.
Oh, no.
Yes, but we got cameras at every door, so we wouldn't see who walked away with it.
So they would come into the office and get the key, or?
You can open
If you need
it.
the AED in an emergency, you're grabbing it out of there
Yeah.
and not caring that
Okay.
there's an alarm going off.
Yeah.
Just so the public knows.
Yeah, the first motion was to approve the consent agenda as amended with removing the financial statements. So that was approved. The second motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented. The third motion was to schedule a work session with the fire department to talk about various items on April 4th at 6:30, and that was approved. Fourth motion was to approve the letter of support for the Marquette Alternative High School solar project. That was approved. The fifth motion was to approve the letter of support for the Marquette County Road Commission Category F grant application for County Road 505, which is Commerce Drive. That was approved. And the sixth motion was to approve that the letter that we didn't want any of the abandoned right-of-ways on that area that they abandoned from the county, and that was approved.
Okay, thanks. So far, I got the priority goals done for 2024, so I'll stick that in the next packet. And then I'll get that board updated. We will have a letter from Renovari asking us to extend the option to purchase until October 10th. We can talk about that next meeting, right before October 10th. I mean, April 10th, pardon me. And that's all so far. Comments? Anybody?
Oh, one comment is now since the time changes happened, it's later in the evening, but dark in the morning. So just be careful of the school children in the morning because it's dark now.
Yeah.
But it's late in the evening till after 8 o'clock now, so that's better.
Next meeting's April 4th.
I just have one thing, a reminder to mark your calendars. Community Day will be August 3rd at Lions Field this year, Saturday. We'll have music. We will have a balloon princess again, and we'll have ice cream.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Lots
yeah,
of ice
and
cream.
popcorn, and fun games for the young people. Volleyball, all kinds of fun things. All of you can participate in. The committee will decide, and we'll share that later, but probably after lunch.
They talked about the letter from you.
Yeah, it was sent to Frank in paper mail.
When?
It stated February 23rd.
They didn't receive it. They haven't received anything yet.
Well, I guess the mail system isn't working.
Could you
I
send them
have
another
it,
one if you
I
have a
did
copy?
today.
Pardon?
I did that today.
Okay, good.
I sent it to Sarah. I think Sarah will be my contact. You're welcome. The mail system does fail sometimes, we all know that, right?
Well, the only other comment I have is anyone wanting to run for the township board, April 22nd or 23rd? You have to have when we have materials here for folks, just come in the office and you can get your packet. They have to be in by April 23rd at 4 PM.
To you,
To me, yeah,
to the clerk.
yes.
Anything else?
Thank you.
With that, I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned,
I
6:27.
know better than say no because it ends up in the
Absolutely.